My daughter stole $43,000 from my account, thinking I'd never notice. She fled on vacation with her lazy husband and mother-in-law. When I saw their photos abroad, I pieced it together, made one call. And what happened to them at the airport was just the start. The notification on my phone read like a death sentence. Account withdrawal, $43,000. I watched my daughter's Instagram story from a luxury resort in the Bahamas, champagne in hand, posting about finally living the dream. I made one call to my bank, then another to someone who specialized in making dreams turn into nightmares. If you're watching this, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Trust me, you're going to want to see how this ends. The emergency call came at 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. Nothing good ever happens before 7 a.m. unless someone's dead, in jail, or trying to rob you. Mom, something terrible happened. Jessica's voice was shaking. In the background, I could hear Tyler shouting and rushing water. Or maybe that was just the sound of my retirement fund disappearing. The apartment flooded. A pipe burst upstairs. We have to be out by tomorrow. Ah, yes. The classic apartment flood emergency. Right up there with my grandmother died in the teenager excuse handbook. Except Jessica was 28. Are you okay? We're fine, but we need deposits for a new place right now. Plus, Tyler's car broke down yesterday. Multiple emergencies requiring immediate cash. In 35 years of teaching, I'd seen this performance countless times. How much do you need? Maybe $8,000? I just need access to your account for a few days. Access to my account, not a loan. Complete access to decades of coupon clipping. But here's the thing about being a mother. When your child sounds distressed, common sense goes out the window. Okay, I'll add you to the account. Oh God, Mom. Thank you. I'll pay back every penny. Famous last words. By 10 a.m., Jessica had access to my $127,000 savings account. I set up text alerts for transactions over $1,000. The first alert came at 2:15 p.m. Withdrawal, $8,500. Okay, apartment deposits. The second alert at 4:45 p.m. Withdrawal, $3,800 Tyler's car, presumably. But when the third alert arrived at 6:20 p.m., withdrawal, $12,000, I called Jessica, straight to voicemail. By Thursday evening, my account had gone from $127,000 to $33,000 in 48 hours. When I finally reached Jessica Friday morning, she sounded different, distant. Mom, relax. Moving is expensive. Jessica, this is more than we discussed. More issues came up. Don't worry about it. She hung up. I drove to their apartment to see this flood situation myself. The building was bone dry. Oh, the young couple? Said Mrs. Garcia. They moved out yesterday with suitcases. Said they were going on a big trip. Then my phone buzzed. Withdrawal. $43,000. I opened Facebook. There it was, posted 2 hours ago. Jessica, Tyler, and Linda at O'Hare Airport with expensive luggage, grinning. Caption? Surprise vacation. Sometimes you just have to treat yourself. Tyler had commented. When opportunity knocks, you answer. Linda added, some people save forever and never actually live. I sat in my car and laughed. Not happy laughter. The kind that comes before you either have a breakdown or burn the world down. The flood was fake. The car trouble was fake. The emergency was fake. But my empty bank account? Real as a heart attack. I stopped laughing and got very quiet. Time to show Jessica what a real emergency looked like. The photos started rolling in like a slideshow of my financial destruction. Poolside cocktails at 11 a.m. Designer shopping bags. Spa treatments that cost more per hour than I used to make per day. Each photo captioned with, living our best life, or finally learning to treat ourselves. Apparently, treating themselves meant treating themselves to my money. Learned that life's too short to make excuses, Jessica posted under a $300 massage photo. Tyler taught me that happiness doesn't have a price tag. No. But happiness apparently had my bank account number. The comments from friends were worse. OMG, how can you afford this? Goals. What's your secret? Jessica's responses made me homicidal. Just stopped letting fear control my decisions. Sometimes you have to invest in your happiness. But the photo that sent me over the edge was Saturday night. Jessica, Tyler, and Linda toasting at a beachfront restaurant. Tyler's caption, to new beginnings and leaving old baggage behind. Some people spend their whole lives afraid to really live. Old baggage. 28 years of raising her was baggage. Linda commented, the best revenge is living well. Some people never learn money is meant to be spent. I Googled Private Investigator Chicago. Robert Hayes was a former cop specializing in financial fraud. His office looked like a 1980s detective movie. Mrs. Sullivan, this sounds like your daughter got mixed up with professionals. Professionals? Multiple emergencies, urgent account access, immediate vacation. Someone's been coaching her. While Robert investigated Tyler, I called my bank and froze future transactions. Then I filed a police report. Since she had legal access, this will be complicated, Officer Martinez explained. Probably a civil matter. Civil matter. Because there's nothing criminal about stealing your mother's retirement fund for vacation. But Robert called Tuesday with game-changing news. Tyler Carter has priors. Fraud cases in 3 states. Same pattern. Targets young women with family money access, creates fake emergencies, disappears. What about Jessica? Phone records show dozens of calls between them for months. Mrs. Sullivan, your daughter's been planning this. My daughter hadn't been manipulated. She'd been recruited. Tyler and Linda are wanted in Florida for elder abuse, Arizona for identity theft. This is what they do professionally. I hung up and stared at Jessica's graduation photo on my fridge. When I was done feeling sorry for myself, I looked in the mirror. The woman staring back had been played by her own child, but she was still standing and about to get creative. I called Robert back. I want them arrested, all 3, and I want it to hurt. What did you have in mind? I smiled. Everything legal and everything devastating. While Jessica posted about her 3rd spa day, I was getting a PhD in revenge. Robert's investigation revealed Tyler and Linda weren't just grifters. They were wanted in multiple states, had outstanding warrants, and owed massive back taxes. Good news, they're already criminals, Robert explained over coffee that could strip paint. Bad news, they've stayed under federal radar. What makes something federal? Wire fraud at $50,000. They took $94,000 from you, plus others. That's FBI territory. FBI territory. I like that sound. I found 4 other victims. Total theft around $380,000. Over the next days, while Jessica shared couples massage updates, I built a case that would make Perry Mason jealous. I contacted the FBI. I contacted the IRS. I reached out to Tyler's previous victims, who were suddenly motivated for justice. But the real breakthrough came when Jessica got drunk and stupid on Instagram Live. Saturday night, clearly wasted, she went live poolside. Hey everyone, Jessica here, live from paradise. I started recording. Just wanted to share how amazing life is when you stop making excuses and start taking what you deserve. Taking what you deserve. Interesting way to describe theft. Tyler leaned in, looking like budget James Bond. Some people spend their lives afraid. We decided to take the leap. My mom always told me to save every penny, Jessica giggled. But Tyler taught me money is meant to be spent, especially when it's just sitting there doing nothing. Just sitting there, like paying for my retirement. Linda appeared with a martini. Young people need to stop waiting for permission. Take what's yours. Exactly, Jessica warmed up. Why should my mom hoard all that money when we could be living our best lives? She's never going to spend it anyway. Tyler got philosophical. Best part is she probably doesn't even know yet. All 3 burst into laughter. Oh, she knows, Jessica giggled. I saw her calling 50 times, but what's she going to do? We're in the Bahamas. 20 minutes of them confessing to federal crimes in HD. When they signed off, Jessica blew a kiss. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't have everything you want. I sent the video to Robert, the FBI, and anyone who might enjoy watching idiots confess to wire fraud. Then I called Paradise Cove Resort. I need to speak with your manager about guests using stolen funds. Within an hour, they'd discovered Tyler used my cloned credit card for upgrades. By Sunday, I'd built a web waiting for their return. Monday morning, I put on my best dress and drove to O'Hare. Time for Jessica's vacation to end. The international arrivals area buzzed with Monday travelers, but I positioned myself with a clear view. Robert stood beside me with FBI agent Sarah Martinez, who looked like she could bench press a car. Everything's coordinated, Martinez said with satisfaction. They'll be detained clearing customs. All 3? All 3. That live stream was a prosecutor's dream. At 10:23 a.m., they emerged looking carefree. Jessica glowed with vacation tan. Tyler strutted like he'd conquered a country. Linda looked like she'd found the fountain of youth. They walked into my welcoming committee. Tyler Carter, you're under arrest for wire fraud. Tyler's smugness vanished. What? This is a mistake. More agents appeared. Linda Carter, conspiracy and fraud. Jessica Sullivan, theft and conspiracy. Jessica dropped her designer luggage and looked around frantically. Her eyes found mine. I gave her a little wave. She mouthed, "Mom?" I smiled and mouthed back, "Surprise, sweetheart." Handcuffs went on. Jessica wasn't the carefree vacationer anymore. She was crying ugly tears. "Mom, help me. This is a misunderstanding." Everyone stared, expecting me to rush to her aid. Instead, I took a selfie with the arrest scene behind me. "Mom, don't leave me!" I posted the selfie. Some people learn consequences the hard way. Justice, just proud mom. Then I walked away. That evening, Channel 7 called. "I have video of Jessica confessing while on vacation," I told them. "Video of her mocking me and laughing about theft." Interested? Very interested. The story aired at 6 and 11 p.m., went national by midnight. Jessica's live stream played everywhere. Daughter mocks mother while spending stolen retirement money trended by Tuesday. Jessica called from jail, sobbing. "Mom, please, I need bail money. A lawyer." I let her cry 30 seconds. "Jessica, you made your choice stealing from me and mocking me publicly. Now live with consequences." "I was drunk. I didn't mean it. Alcohol doesn't create thoughts. It removes filters. You meant every word. I'm your daughter." "My daughter wouldn't steal my future for vacation. You're just someone who looks like her." I hung up. But other families started calling. "Mrs. Sullivan, I saw your story. I think my son's girlfriend stole from me too." Dorothy Chen, 74, Florida. "Tyler took $68,000 through her daughter. By Thursday, I connected with 6 victims across 4 states. Total theft, $380,000. I was the first to fight back. Suddenly, I had an army. Media attention brought speaking opportunities. Saturday morning, I stood before 40 seniors. "My name is Margaret Sullivan. 3 weeks ago, my daughter stole my retirement fund for vacation. Today, she's in federal custody facing 15 years. Let me tell you how to turn getting robbed into getting justice." People surrounded me afterward with their stories. I wasn't just getting revenge anymore. I was starting a revolution. Jessica's lawyer explained her options: plead guilty for 8 years or risk 15 with a jury trial. "What about restitution?" Jessica asked during our first jail visit in 6 weeks. She looked terrible. Orange wasn't her color. $412,000, every penny stolen from all victims, with interest. She went white. "I don't have that." "Then you'll make payments until Social Security, if you live that long. Can't you drop charges? Forgive the debt?" I studied her face. Even in jail, she thought I'd save her. "Remember your live stream? You called me old baggage, said I was hoarding money I'd never spend. I was drunk. That money you thought I'd never spend? I'm spending it. On investigators, lawyers, making sure you face every consequence." "You're really letting your daughter go to prison?" I smiled. "Honey, you created this mess. Clean it up yourself." Robert called with updates that brightened my week. "We found Tyler and Linda's hidden assets, multiple accounts, some offshore, over $800,000 from dozens of victims. The FBI recovered $320,000 after months of work. I got back $41,000 of my original $94,000. Not complete, but enough to avoid cat food dinners. Every victim got partial restitution." Dorothy Chen called crying when her check arrived. "I got $45,000 back. My granddaughter and I are taking that Ireland trip." That meant more than my own recovery. The trial began that fall. Jessica testified against Tyler and Linda. "I convinced myself my mother owed me for my childhood," she said, looking aged by custody. "Tyler didn't force me. He showed me how to justify it. And now, I destroyed the most important relationship in my life for money I spent in 10 days. Tyler got 22 years. Linda got 15. Jessica got 6 with parole possibility in 4. After sentencing, Jessica approached me. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but testifying felt like the first right thing I'd done." She looked different, thinner, more serious. "What you did was unforgivable, but what you're doing now matters. Can we try again? Could I trust someone who'd stolen my future? Love someone who'd called me baggage? We can try, but it's different now." "Different how?" "Different like you earn everything from scratch. Different like I never trust you with money again. Different like you prove you're worth having a relationship with." Jessica nodded, tears flowing. "I understand. Not forgiveness. Not yet, but possibility. Sometimes possibility is enough to build on." Jessica served 3.5 years. We exchanged letters but didn't speak. I needed distance. She needed to figure out who she was without charm saving her. Her letters evolved from desperate pleas to genuine reflections. By year 2, she was teaching financial literacy to inmates. By year 3, therapy and job training. After release, she moved to a halfway house and got a nonprofit job helping formerly incarcerated people reintegrate. We met for coffee 6 months later. She looked older, more serious. I'm working at a reentry program, helping people find jobs, housing, basic skills to avoid returning to prison. The irony wasn't lost on either of us. How's that going? Good. Understanding manipulation makes me good at helping people avoid being manipulated, like being bilingual, except it's criminal behavior and rehabilitation. Why this work? It feels like penance. Maybe I can balance some damage I caused. No self-pity, just acknowledgement she owed the world better. Can I ask something? Why meet with me? Because you served time, you're rebuilding responsibly, and you're still my daughter. Those things matter. Do you forgive me? I'm working on it, like physical therapy, except rebuilding trust instead of muscles. Coffee meetings became monthly, then bi-weekly. We carefully avoided discussing the federal case that brought us here. 2 years post-release, Jessica called with surprising news. I've been offered a promotion, running a program helping families affected by financial crimes. What would you do? Work with victims and families, help them navigate legal systems, understand rights, connect with resources, be the person I wish you'd had. Perfect irony. This pays better? Enough for my own apartment, out of the halfway house. Take it? I want to, but wanted to ask about using our story professionally. If Jessica could help even one family avoid our nightmare, it might mean something. Exactly what you should be doing. Jessica started 6 months later. She was surprisingly good. Understanding abuse from both sides made her excellent at helping victims and families heal. Your daughter saved my relationship with my son, one participant told me. She helped me understand he could be sorry and still need consequences. 3 years post-release, Jessica called with reality-questioning news. The FBI wants to interview me about consulting. I nearly choked. The FBI wants to hire you? As a consultant, expanding their family financial crimes unit. They want someone understanding these scams from both sides. They want a former federal prisoner catching federal criminals? Basically, Frank Abagnale did it for decades. I processed my daughter going from prisoner to federal consultant. What do you think? Sounds like the redemption story people write books about and nobody believes. Good or bad? Jessica, if the FBI thinks you can catch people like Tyler and protect families like ours, it's perfect. But this would test whether her prison transformation was real or performance. Time would tell. FBI background checks took a full year. During this time, our relationship evolved from careful politeness toward normal. Monthly dinners became real conversations about everything except her stealing my retirement fund. Mom, she said while cooking, I need to tell you something. I braced for another revelation. The night before the Bahamas, I almost called you, almost confessed everything. What stopped you? Tyler said you'd never understand. You'd call police and I'd go to prison for nothing since we hadn't technically stolen anything yet. But you knew it was wrong. I knew it was wrong. I convinced myself it was justified wrong. She paused. Therapy's hardest part wasn't admitting I was criminal. It was accepting I wasn't Tyler's victim. I was his willing partner. That honesty meant more than any apology. When FBI finally cleared Jessica, they held a ceremony that felt like alternate universe. Ms. Sullivan, Agent Martinez said, your insights already helped solve 2 cases during interviews. You understand how these crimes develop within families. Watching Jessica take an oath to protect people she'd once victimized was surreal. But it felt like justice, transformation, not just punishment. After the ceremony, we walked the lakefront. Ever think what would have happened if you hadn't fought back? If I'd just accepted being robbed? Yeah, Tyler and Linda would still be destroying families. You'd probably still be in prison. I'd be a bitter old woman trusting no one. Instead, Tyler's in concrete boxes where he belongs. You're protecting families. I learned I'm tougher than imagined. Can I ask something? Requests still made me nervous. Would you consider working with FBI Victim Services? You'd help victims navigate legal systems, understand rights, maybe train agents. I'd been doing advocacy informally, but federal programs were serious business. I'm not sure I'm qualified. Mom, you're the most qualified person in America. You survived family financial abuse, got justice, helped victims recover money, turned experience into helping people. She had a point. Would we work together? Sometimes, when appropriate. But you'd work as victim advocate, not as my mother. That distinction mattered. Okay, I'll do it. 6 months later, I stood before 150 federal agents in Washington. Most important thing to understand, family theft victims suffer twice, financial loss and trust betrayal. Your job is helping them get justice for both. Afterward, a young agent approached. Mrs. Sullivan, my grandmother was scammed by my cousin, too embarrassed to report it. After hearing your story, I'll encourage her to speak up. Good. Shame protects criminals. Speaking up protects families. Over the next year, Jessica and I worked dozens of cases together. She'd interview suspects while I worked with victims. Strange, building professional relationships with someone who'd robbed me, but it worked. We were both good at what we did, actually making a difference. The call came Tuesday morning while I prepared for a Detroit presentation. Mrs. Sullivan, Detective Williams, your daughter's been in an accident. My heart started interpretive dancing. Is she okay? Alive? Serious condition. Drunk driver hit her crossing the street. Northwestern Memorial. I was driving before he finished explaining. Jessica was unconscious, looking like she'd fought a concrete mixer and lost. Left leg in traction, face bruised in impossible colors, enough machines to power aircraft. I sat beside her, took her hand like when she was 7 getting tonsils removed. Hey, sweetheart, Mom's here. She woke 2 days later. Mom? Right here, baby. You stayed? Of course, you're my daughter. Despite everything, that hasn't changed. Jessica started crying, not about legal troubles for once. I didn't think, after everything, you'd come. Jessica, I may not trust you with credit cards, but I'll always love you. Different things. Doctors say months of physical therapy. We'll figure it out. Your apartment has stairs. You can't drive. Need help with basics. You're staying with me until mobile. Having Jessica in my house again after a decade was like hosting a polite stranger who looked like my daughter. But she was different, quieter, considerate, grateful instead of expecting. During recovery, we talked more honestly than ever. Remember seeing those vacation photos? Your first emotion? Rage. Pure white-hot rage. Not hurt, past that. Fury you'd stolen my future and celebrated like winning a prize. I'm sorry. I know. Will you ever really forgive me? I gave a different answer this time. I already have. Forgiveness isn't feeling, it's choice. I chose forgiveness when I decided our relationship was worth rebuilding. Even though you don't trust me, forgiveness and trust are different animals. Forgiveness is letting go anger. Trust is believing someone won't hurt you again. And you don't believe that. I believe you've changed. I believe you're genuinely sorry. But I believe people make terrible choices when desperate. So I forgive you but protect myself. Jessica nodded. That's fair. After 8 weeks, she was ready to return to her life. Last night, we sat on the porch drinking tea. I have something for you. She handed me an envelope. Inside, a check for $15,000. What's this? Part of what I owe you, saving from my FBI salary. This represented months of careful budgeting. I can't take this. Mom, you didn't choose whether I stole from you, but you can choose whether to let me pay back. I looked at my daughter, not the woman who'd robbed me, but someone spending years making amends. Okay, I'll take it. Really? Really. But I'm not keeping it. What do you mean? Donating it to your victim services program, in both our names. Jessica cried different tears. Thank you. Thank you for giving it to me. 3 years later, Jessica dropped a bombshell during Sunday dinner. I've been offered promotion to head FBI's new National Family Financial Crimes Task Force. I set my fork down carefully. They want centralized unit handling family financial abuse nationwide. I'd run it from Washington. Pride and terror in equal measure. This was incredible recognition, but Washington was 700 miles away. That's amazing, but it means leaving Chicago, leaving you. We'd built something good, not the same as before, but honest and real. Jessica, this job is perfect for you. What about our Sunday dinners? They have phones in Washington, and airplanes still fly between cities. You'd visit? We'd figure it out like adults who've survived worse than distance. But I had my own announcement. Actually, timing's perfect. Department of Justice wants me heading their National Victim Advocacy Training Program. I'd travel training local law enforcement on financial abuse victims. Jessica's eyes widened. That's incredible. Taking it? Already said yes. Apparently there's demand for people who know how to turn getting robbed by your daughter into teachable moments. We both laughed. First time we'd joked about what happened. 3 months later, I watched Jessica board a plane to Washington. Should have been heartbreaking, but I felt pride. My daughter would protect families across America from exactly our pain. That evening, Robert called. How do you feel about Jessica's promotion? We've come full circle. The person who destroyed families now protects them. You're okay working similar fields? Robert, 9 years ago, Jessica stole my future. Now we're both spending careers protecting other people's futures. If that's not poetic justice, I don't know what is. 6 months later, I got a letter making my week. Dear Mrs. Sullivan, I attended your Phoenix presentation last year. Your talk literally saved my family. My brother-in-law pressured us to invest retirement savings in his guaranteed business opportunity. After hearing your story, I realized he was trying to scam us. We didn't give him money. His business was completely fake. We would have lost everything. Thank you for courage sharing your story. Gratefully, Maria Rodriguez. I put that letter on my refrigerator with dozens of others, then opened my laptop, started preparing my next training program. Because I'd learned, the best revenge isn't destroying people who hurt you. It's using your pain to protect others from experiencing theirs. The call came Saturday morning, exactly 9 years after Jessica decided my retirement fund would make excellent vacation money. Mrs. Sullivan, Director Chen, FBI Financial Crimes Division. We have a situation in Oregon requiring your expertise. The Morrison family case had been national news. Grandparents in their 80s lost their farm after grandson stole $400,000 for cryptocurrency losses. How can I help? Grandparents struggling whether to press charges. They specifically requested you after seeing your 60 Minutes interview. These calls came regularly. Families torn apart by financial abuse, seeking guidance from someone who'd walked through fire. Next flight to Portland. 2 days later, I sat in a farmhouse kitchen smelling of coffee and heartbreak, listening to Eleanor and Frank Morrison make sense of their grandson's betrayal. We raised that boy, Eleanor kept saying. His parents died when he was 12. We gave him everything. You gave him love. That's not the same as giving him the right to steal from you. How do we move forward? He's still our grandson. You decide what kind of family you want to be. One that enables destructive behavior through misplaced love, or one that holds people accountable while still caring? I spent 3 days with the Morrisons, sharing my story and helping them navigate the worst family decision imaginable. Hardest part is pressing charges feels like betraying him, Eleanor said. You're not betraying him. You're holding him accountable. There's a difference. Betrayal would be letting him think stealing from people who love him is acceptable. They chose to press charges while maintaining their relationship. Advanced course in loving someone who's committed crimes against you. A year later, they sent updates. Their grandson pleaded guilty, was in gambling treatment, working 3 jobs to pay back theft. Family was in counseling, rebuilding trust one conversation at a time. Flying home, I realized something surprising. At 71, I was genuinely happy. Not simple retirement contentment, but actual happiness. My life had purpose and meaning it never had before. I was protecting families, training law enforcement, helping people understand they didn't have to choose between love and justice. Jessica and I talked weekly, our relationship continuing to evolve. She'd been promoted again, leading a task force that recovered over $75 million for victims. She was in therapy, had healthy relationships, seemed genuinely at peace. Mom, she said during one call, interesting request today. What kind? 60 Minutes wants a follow-up feature about us, about family financial abuse, recovery, radical redemption. They want to show how our story influenced federal policy. Both of us? Both. Follow our work for months, interview families we've helped, show how the system can work when people fight back. More national television was terrifying and exciting. What would we discuss? Everything. The theft, trial, recovery, current work, how families can survive financial betrayal and come out stronger. I thought about all the families I'd worked with, Hansons, Morrisons, dozens who'd found courage to hold relatives accountable while maintaining relationships. That would be perfect. Really? If sharing our story helps one more family survive this betrayal, it's worth it. The piece aired 6 months later. The Theft That Changed Everything. A mother and daughter's journey from crime to justice. Response was overwhelming. Phone rang for weeks with families wanting help, agencies requesting training, victims sharing survival stories. But the call that meant most came from Jessica. Mom, seen FBI's latest family financial crime statistics? No? What about them? They've gone up 400% since we started working together. Families are reporting crimes, fighting back, getting justice. We're actually changing things nationally. That night, I went to bed feeling complete peace. My money was stolen, but returned with interest in purpose. My daughter betrayed me, but redeemed herself through service. Our relationship was destroyed, but we built something stronger. The theft was the worst thing that happened to me. Fighting back was the best thing I'd ever done. 2 years later, I prepared for my final major media appearance. At 71, I was ready to step back and focus on writing my book, How to Survive Being Robbed by Your Own Daughter and Other Family Adventures in Federal Court. The Today Show invited Jessica and me to discuss the 5-year anniversary of the National Family Financial Crimes Task Force and its record-breaking $500 million recovery for victims. "Sure you want to retire from speaking?" Jessica asked in the green room. "I've said what I needed about family betrayal and federal justice. Time for other voices, preferably people who didn't get famous for having retirement funds stolen. You'll be missed. Not many people make family financial abuse both educational and entertaining. Good advocates leave while people still want to hear from them." The interview went well. We discussed holding family accountable, resources for victims, and that families could survive even worse betrayals. "What would you tell a viewer who just discovered someone they love stole from them?" the host asked. I looked directly into camera. "You have a choice. Be a victim forever, or fight back and turn pain into power. Won't be easy, but it's worth it. If you're lucky, you might end up with a better relationship than before someone robbed you." After the show, we walked Central Park, discussing future plans. "I've been thinking," she said, "when you write your book, I'd like to write the foreword. What would you say? That the worst thing I ever did led to the best thing I became. That redemption is possible, but requires more than saying sorry. It requires proving you've changed every day for years, and that accountability and love aren't opposites. They're partners." We sat quietly, watching families enjoy normal Sunday afternoons. Parents and children who probably hadn't been through federal court together. "Can I tell you something?" "Always. Sometimes I think about what would have happened if you hadn't fought back. What do you think?" "I'd still be hurting people. Maybe in prison for something worse, or dead from whatever criminal activity I graduated to, or just empty, living off others' pain. Instead, I wake up every morning knowing my work matters. I'm protecting families, helping victims, making the world safer, like being given a completely different life. How does that feel? Like I'm finally worthy of being your daughter." I took her hand, noting how different it felt, steadier, more honest, belonging to someone who'd learned the difference between taking and earning. "Jessica, you've always been worthy of being my daughter. You just had to learn to be worthy of yourself." That evening, I received a package with no return address. Inside, a newspaper clipping and handwritten note. Headline: "Mother-daughter team helps FBI recover record $500 million in family fraud cases. Task force credits their work for 400% increase in prosecutions." The note was simple. "Mrs. Sullivan, thank you for showing us love and justice aren't opposites. They're partners. Our family is whole again because of your example. The Morrison family." I put the clipping in my scrapbook with hundreds of others documenting our journey from crime to justice, betrayal to redemption, family destruction to family protection. Then I sat at my computer and started writing. It began. The theft was just the beginning. What came after was up to me, and I chose revenge, but not the kind that destroys, the kind that rebuilds. Because I'd learned the most powerful revenge isn't destroying your enemies. It's transforming your pain into protection for others. And that kind of revenge doesn't just last forever. It gets better with time, influences policy, recovers millions for victims, and occasionally gets you on national television twice. 9 years after my daughter stole my retirement fund for vacation, we'd helped hundreds of families get justice, recovered $500 million for victims, and proved even the worst betrayals don't have to define your future. Sometimes the best thing that can happen to you is the worst thing that ever happened to you, because it shows you exactly how strong you really are. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and feel free to share your story in the comments. Your voice matters.